Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Transform Yourself. My name is Helen from Helen Margaret Hypnotherapy, and I'm here to talk to you about clinical hypnotherapy, how it can help with certain conditions, mental health problems, and to give you a little bit of relaxation, perhaps in your lunch break or at the end of the day. I've just got back from Egypt, my 2-week holiday, the first one I've had since 2019, and it was wonderful. I had such a good time. We spent about a week in a hotel in Hurghada, or a place close to Hurghada. It was a beautiful, beautiful hotel. Swam in the Red Sea, sunbathed in 23 to 31 degree temperatures. And then we had a week's cruise along the Nile from Luxor to Aswan and back again. We saw all sorts of things. The Valley of the Kings, Karnak Temple, where Death on the Nile was filmed, was absolutely phenomenal. It was such a wonderful experience. It wasn't all brilliant. I did get tummy upset and had to have a doctor come to the cruise ship, but he made me better. And I sprained my knee getting into the basket of a hot air balloon. So you can't feel too sorry for me having an experience of flying over the Valley of the Kings in a hot air balloon at dawn. It was absolutely beautiful, and even the pain didn't detract from the beauty of the experience. But I'm back now. I'm back in England, back to my work schedule. And actually, the normality is really nice as well. It's nice to be working with clients again. And it's nice to be recording this podcast for you. This episode is going to be focused on the 3 negative emotions that we often experience if we're living in the downstairs of our brain, our primitive brain. And those 3 emotions are anger, depression, and anxiety. I want to remind you of how the brain works. We have 2 parts of the brain. We have the conscious and intellectual brain upstairs, which helps us make good choices and helps us problem solve and is generally very positive. And then we have the downstairs of the brain, which is the original primitive part of the brain that we share with animals and share with our primitive ancestors. It's not evolved and doesn't really understand the complexities of modern life. If we're going to get upset, it's always going to see this upset as a life and death situation. So it's always very dramatic down there. And the primitive brain operates within the parameters of depression, anxiety, anger, or a combination of all 3. And we've inherited these emotions from our primitive ancestors. Our primitive ancestors needed to be on high alert at all times, because there were things that could really harm them, and they were in life and death situations. So their downstairs brain would be on alert, making sure that everything's safe for them. In terms of anger, it's a primitive way of increasing our strength to fight off other tribesmen or dangerous animals. And depression happened when it wasn't safe to go out of the cave and hunt, whether it be bad weather or whether it be saber-toothed tiger outside ready to eat us. They would just stay in the cave until it was safe to go out. We've inherited these same emotions from our primitive ancestors, but our stressors are different from primitive people. We might not be facing a saber-toothed tiger, but we might feel like we need to stay in bed, stay in the house, isolate ourselves because we're not feeling good and we don't feel like we want to spend the energy to interact with people, go to work. It might be that we're on a short fuse and even the littlest thing makes us explode with anger and makes us shout. We might feel our pulse increasing, our heart rate increasing, redness in the face, and we just explode. Or it could be that we're worried about something and it just won't go out of our head. We ruminate about it, going in circles, not able to find a solution. The more we think about it, the worse it might get, and we might catastrophize something from being relatively minor to turning into relatively major. These are all the activities of our primitive brain, and they happen because we're under stress. We're not able to control them if we're under stress, and our stress buckets are full to overflowing. And this happens to everybody at some point in our lives. We might have some difficult family dynamics happening. Work might be overwhelming. We might have difficult health problems to face, all sorts of things that mean that we don't get to empty our stress bucket through sleep. If you remember from the last episode, we empty our stress bucket through the REM sleep cycle, where we move it from the negative, painful experience, stinging experience, into the intellectual brain where it doesn't have a sting at all and we just are able to cope with it. But if our stress buckets are full to overflowing, we haven't got enough REM sleep in the night to be able to empty them, which means that we're waking up with things in our stress bucket, which means we're going to feel pretty rotten. We're going to feel very negative. We're not going to want to get up, or we're going to be getting up too early, or we're not being able to get back to sleep. And all of these things mean that we're heading into our day still feeling pretty rubbish, but we're going to be putting things into our stress bucket more and more as the day goes on, because stress accumulates every day. And if we're not emptying our bucket every night, we're going to end up with an overflowing bucket, which means that we're likely to explode with anger, have major panic attacks, or just not be able to get out of bed. And these are the worst case scenarios. I see a lot of clients with lots of anxieties that come from all sorts of things. One of the things that I've seen in clients is newly retired people often lack purpose. We spend all of our time working, and then when there's no work, you feel like you lack purpose, and that can create anxiety. It can create depression. I see people whose lives have shrunk because they're afraid to do things, because it's too scary to get in the car and drive, for example, or to drive very far, or they don't want to get on an aeroplane because they're afraid that something bad will happen, or that they're afraid that if they go out into the garden, they will see spiders or other scary creatures. So my job is to help people get their lives back by reducing these anxieties and learning skills to be able to cope with them. And there are lots of skills that you can develop to cope with underlying anxiety, depression, or anger. It's important to realise that your amygdala, the central part of your primitive brain in the downstairs of your brain, is a big fat liar. It doesn't tell you the truth. It tells you if you get on an aeroplane, you're going to die. If you drive too far from home, you're going to die, or someone else is going to die, someone you care about. It's very much life and death. If you see a spider, it's going to bite you and kill you. All of these things are lies. It's not true. And we know that these things are not true because not everybody is afraid of spiders or flying or driving. If it were the event itself, then everybody would feel the same, and that's not the truth. It's our thought process that is causing us to have this anxiety, depression, or anger, and that's coming from the primitive brain that's telling you lies. I encourage you not to listen to your amygdala too much. It is there for a purpose, and it will keep you alive. If you step off the curb and there's a car coming, you will automatically, without even thinking, step back onto the pavement. That's your amygdala stepping in to keep you alive. So it does have a purpose. But if it's telling you that you're going to die if you don't have a cigarette to calm you down, then you need to stop listening to it. Your amygdala is actually like a 5-year-old having a tantrum. And those of you who have had a 5-year-old know exactly what those tantrums are like. You cannot reason with a child having a tantrum. But what you can do is distract. If you suddenly point to something else, the tantrum stops and they will follow your eyes, follow your pointing, and realise that there's something else to focus upon. This is what we can do with the amygdala as well. We can distract it. And there are lots of things that you can do to distract your amygdala and then move yourself into the upstairs of your brain, the conscious and intellectual part of your brain, where you can make choices and you can then realise that your amygdala is not your best friend. Some of the things I suggest to my clients to distract the amygdala are to listen to upbeat music. Upbeat music is going to help you release your coping chemicals, one of which is serotonin, and it's going to help you move from the primitive brain, the downstairs, into the upstairs of your brain. It's going to stop that thought pattern and disrupt your amygdala from telling you lies. Comedy is very, very good. Watching something funny on YouTube, getting someone to tell you a joke, enjoying a clip from your favourite comedian. These things will help you move into your intellectual brain, releasing serotonin and stopping the stress responses that you're getting in your primitive brain, your downstairs brain. You cannot have laughter and anxiety together. They don't work together. They are mutually exclusive. My favourite comedian is Eddie Susie Izzard. I think it was 1998, he did a show in San Francisco called Dressed to Kill. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I still watch it now, and it still makes me laugh. There are parts of it that are just hilarious. For example, Cake or Death. You've got to know, and if you haven't, then watch it on YouTube, Cake or Death. It's talking about the Anglican Church, and it's very, very funny. That always does it for me. So some of that is going to immediately put you into your intellectual brain. Music, comedy, moving, context. All of our anxiety, anger, depression is contextual. So, for example, if you sit in the same chair or sofa in your living room and you start to feel anxious, go and sit in another chair, a chair that you don't normally sit in, because that's going to disrupt the negative emotion, because then your brain's going to be trying to figure out how the world looks from a different place. Yes, it's not a significantly different place, but it's enough for your brain to be a little confused and to need to work out the geography of the place because you're now looking at it from a different angle. And that will move you out of your primitive brain into your intellectual brain because your brain needs to work out how everything looks. It's very simple. We all are creatures of habit. We all sit in the same seat. We all use the same loo when we're at work. If at school, we all sit at the same desk. And if you change it, your brain has to work out the new geography, the new view, and that stops you from being anxious, depressed, or angry. So those are 3 little possibilities of things that you can do simply to disrupt a pattern of anger, depression, or anxiety. There are other things that you can do, for example, moving, going somewhere, even if it's moving from the living room to the kitchen and back again. Movement can help. Thinking about happy memories, things that you've done in the past that make you happy experiences, things that you're looking forward to. It's always really helpful to have something to look forward to, even if it's just going out for a coffee with a friend. That can really, really help, again, disrupt the negativity. I always advise my clients to have things at their fingertips ready to go so that if they do experience negative emotions, they can then choose the music, they know what they're going to watch, They know what they're going to do, so that there's no flapping around and trying to figure it out, because we don't think very well when we're in our primitive brain. We can't think, we just simply react. So it's important to know what you're going to do in advance so that you can do it. There are some other things that I help clients achieve in order to develop calmness. And in the next month's podcast, I'm going to treat you to some anchoring, which is a neuro-linguistic programming technique that asks you to imagine a place where you feel safe, where you feel calm, where you feel like nothing can touch you. And you think about it during trance, you describe it to me, and as you're thinking about it and I'm describing it, you're pressing down the thumb and the forefinger of your non-dominant hand. So I'm left-handed, so for me it's my right hand. Pressing those down so that you associate this place with this action of pressing your thumb and your forefinger together. You can do it in your pocket. It's very subtle, it's very discreet. And so if you're in a situation where you're feeling anxious, perhaps you've got to do a musical performance, or you've got to speak to people, or you're going into an exam, you can simply press your thumb and your forefinger together and it will transport you to that memory of that wonderful place. Whether it's real or imagined, it doesn't matter, but it will help you calm down. So that's next month, a treat for you to look forward to. If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, or if you would like me to focus on a particular topic in future podcasts, please do let me know. I'm on Instagram at Helen Margaret Hypno. I'm on Facebook, Helen Margaret Hypnotherapy. I'm on LinkedIn at Helen Margaret Hypnotherapy. Or you can just leave a message underneath the podcast. I'm happy to entertain questions and answer them in future podcasts, and also to focus podcasts on particular topics that people are interested in. Future topics that I'm looking to focus on are phobias and the treatment I use specifically for phobias. Also, burnout, how to handle burnout, one small step at a time. And also grief. We all experience grief in our lives. And so explaining to you the brain science around grief and how to manage grief a little better. It's not something we can avoid, but it's something that we can manage as best we can. These are things that I'm considering focusing upon, but if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, then I'm happy to do it. All you have to do is get in touch with me. But the bulk of my work is based around anxiety, depression, and anger management, with probably most of my clients having some form of anxiety. And so I spend a lot of time helping people manage their anxiety. Because anxiety is such a prominent feature in my practice, or helping people with it, I thought that the hypnosis today would be all around managing anxiety, calming down, and making you feel rested and relaxed. If you are at the end of the day and you're ready to go to sleep, make yourself comfortable in bed and enjoy playing this out until you fall asleep. If you're at work, or if you're in the middle of the day and you're listening to this on a break, make yourself comfortable. Wherever you are, sitting down is fine, lying down is fine. You don't have to close your eyes. You can doodle on a pad while you're listening to this. It's not going to affect the quality of the trance. Make yourself comfortable, and then when you're ready, we will begin the trance. It's now time to relax wherever you are. If you're lying down on the couch or on the bed, just feel your body just sink into that space, giving up all tension, because the bed or the couch can hold your space for you. If you're sitting, adjust yourself until you really feel comfortable, so that there's no strain or stretching or discomfort. If you're crossing your legs, then put both feet firmly on the ground, and just close your eyes if you want to, or keep them open. and just allow yourself to let go of everything in your day. It's all going to disappear while you focus on yourself. Focus on your breathing. Feel your breathing start to slow into a really regular rhythm so that you start to feel really comfortable and your heart rate is decreasing. Have a think about something that you've done that has made you happy. What has made you happy recently? Or maybe it was a long time ago. Have that image in your head and smile. Even if you don't feel like smiling, just smile anyway. And that smile is going to help release serotonin into your brain and move you out of any anxiety that you're feeling. Smile and stretch those muscles in your face, and then let your face rest. Feel the tension in your neck and your shoulders. Tense it up a little bit, and then gradually relax it. Do the same with the muscles in your stomach, and also with your back and your bum. Moving down your legs, tensing the muscles in your thighs and in your calves and in your feet, and then just relaxing them with your arms and your hands and your fingers, feeling all of the day's tensions going away, just disappearing, so that all that's left is just your floppy, relaxed body, just sinking into the chair, sinking into the sofa or the bed, wherever you are. And smile again. Smile at the fact that you are going to be feeling so much better. And whether this is the middle of the day or the end of the day, you know that it's going to make you feel so much better when you wake up, or when you go back to work, or when you go back to your day. You are in a prime position to feel totally and utterly relaxed. So I want you to imagine yourself on a beautiful beach. The beach can be anywhere. Maybe it's a place that you've been before. Maybe you've been lucky enough to go to the Maldives or somewhere exotic like Fiji. Maybe it's the beach in Spain at the Costa del Sol. Maybe it's Margate Beach, beautiful beach down in the south of England. It doesn't matter where it is. And you're sitting on the most comfortable seat, the comfortable deck chair you could possibly be in. It's a red one, and it's really soft and fluffy. It's got beautifully thick cushions. And you're sitting in this chair, just relaxing. It's warm. It's comfortably warm. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. And you might be in a swimsuit, or you might be in regular clothes or beach clothes, whatever you prefer. And your feet are propped up on a stool. All of the pressure of your legs is taken up by resting your feet on the stool, and you're sitting back in the chair. It's got a bit of a lean to it. So you feel totally comfortable, totally relaxed. And there's not much noise either. It's relatively quiet, except for a few seagulls flying in the air. You can hear them in the distance. But other than that, there's not other sounds. Maybe the wind, little breeze, not a massive breeze, just a little one. And then, of course, the sound of the waves lapping up onto the shore. And there's nothing dramatic about them. It's not a breezy, billowy day. It's just a perfectly restful day. And you're enjoying the sun on your skin and hearing the noise of the birds and feeling the soft breeze and hearing the lapping waves just beating onto the shore very gently. And it's just a perfectly tranquil moment. Now, if you're somewhere exotic, you might even have palm trees on your beach, which would be lovely. palm trees waving around a little bit. Maybe they're date palms and some of the dates are falling off for the birds to eat. But you feel tremendously relaxed because you don't have to be anywhere and there's nothing at all for you to do. Nobody's pressing you for activity. Nobody wants you to do anything. You're totally at a loose end and you're just enjoying this moment, feeling totally relaxed on the beach, nice and comfortable, not too hot, not too cold. It's just perfect. And you're not thinking about anything in particular. Your mind is just wandering here and there on nothing in particular, thinking about everything and nothing. But none of those thoughts are activating your stress response. None of them. They're all making you feel even more relaxed as you feel the cushions underneath you, and you can taste a little bit of salt in the air from the sea. It's sort of making your skin feel a little bit crispy because you've already been in the water, and so you've got the crispness of the salt on your skin, and you can taste it in the air as well. And you open your eyes and you see the beautiful beach and the shoreline and the waves. They're very gentle waves, and you realise that you're actually all alone on the beach. There's nobody there, but there's a little table next to you, and you realise that there's actually a nice cold drink on the table waiting for you to have a sip. Whatever's in that glass will make you happy. Is it lemonade? Is it a rum and coke? Is it a Long Island iced tea? Is it orange juice? You decide what it is. But whatever it is, it's cold and refreshing. Every sip gives you a happy memory, and it makes you smile. And you smile as you look out onto the sea, onto the waves. Maybe there's a little boat in the distance that you can see, but nothing that's disturbing your tranquility. And as you sip, you're relaxing even more, enjoying the space, enjoying the moment, enjoying the fact that you have the beach all to yourself and there is nothing that you need to do, nowhere that you need to be, just here, enjoying yourself. And then you look up and you notice a cloud. It's quite a big cloud hovering over you. It's not a thunder cloud or a rain cloud, it's just a big white fluffy cloud. And as you look at it, you realise that all of your bad feelings, all of those anxieties, depression, anger, worries, stress, all of it is just floating up into that cloud. All of it. And you can see them rising. See them rising, and they sort of look like little bits of fluff, just floating on the air and engaging with the cloud, sinking themselves into it, those little bits of fluff. When you had them in your mind, they were the size of a polar bear, and they worried you. But as you see them floating up, you realise they're not as big as a polar bear. They're very tiny. They're just the size of a bit of fluff. And as they rise up and join the cloud and make the cloud bigger, you realise that you're feeling so much better. You're enjoying the tranquility and you're enjoying the lightness that you feel as all of these little bits of fluff just float up into the cloud. And then the cloud disappears, along with all of your worries, all of your fears, all of your stress, all of your anxiety, all of your depression, and all of your anger. It's all gone. And because it's all gone, you feel lighter and happier. And you can relax as you listen to what I say to your subconscious. Your subconscious is going to soak in my words and help you get rid of all of the negative feelings that you have. Trance is an opportunity to rehearse your best self. Your subconscious knows just what to do and just how to do it. You just have to point it in the right direction, like turning on your sat-nav for directions. Once your subconscious knows the direction in which you want to go, it will help you get there by helping you allocate small steps towards that goal. And as you're lying here now or sitting here now, feeling totally relaxed and totally comfortable, think about what your best life looks like. Perhaps it's a good job. Perhaps it's better work-life balance. Perhaps it's doing things that you have been afraid to do, giving up control over things that you really have no control over, and just accepting the way things are. Perhaps it's being better at doing something, or doing something you've never done before, or thinking positively about the future rather than dreading it. Once you have this in your mind, the image of your best life, what you will be like when you're living your best life, your subconscious can help you work towards it. It will help you relinquish the depression, the anger, the anxiety, and help you focus on small steps towards your goals. Think about this beautiful life that you want for yourself, and think about what one small step you could see yourself taking to getting closer to this beautiful life. Perhaps it's getting out of bed. Perhaps it's taking a shower. Perhaps it's remembering how wonderful it is to fly on a plane because you get to go to some amazing places. Maybe it's going back into the garden and not worrying about the creepy crawlies that are in there. Maybe it's about just driving around the corner to start with, so that when you do that, you can then go a little bit further. Small steps are always going to be the best. Big steps don't work. Your subconscious doesn't like them. So when you feel anxious, when you feel depressed, when you feel angry, use some of the tools that I've suggested to distract your primitive brain and help you release serotonin. Interact well with people. Talk to someone, but not about the problem. Talk to them about happy things, so that you're distracting your amygdala. If you're dreading something and thinking it's going to be terrible, turn that around and think, what if it isn't terrible? What if it's actually bloody brilliant? Remember that your amygdala is a big fat liar. If it tells you that you're going to have a terrible time at the party, ignore it, because you know it's not telling you the truth. You're going to have an amazing time. You're going to enjoy meeting new people. You won't be stuck for words. You'll know what to say to people, and they'll talk to you because you're interesting even in and of yourself. If somebody doesn't do things right for you, remember that your amygdala is telling you something that you don't want to hear. You don't have to be angry. You can let people do it their way. It doesn't have to be your way. We all do things differently. And think how happy you'll feel that you're not at the mercy of anger anymore. That you're not at the mercy of depression. You're not at the mercy of anxiety. What's that going to feel like? It's going to mean that you have more confidence in yourself and your abilities. People will be more drawn to you because confidence is very powerful and very attractive. And it's going to mean that you're going to be stretching yourself into areas of your life that you never thought possible. But they are possible. if you take one small step at a time. You might not be ready to get on that aeroplane yet, but you might be ready to watch a film with an aeroplane in it, or look at pictures, or look at holidays, or talk about the possibility to a friend or a family member. Small steps are going to make that big difference. If you worry about something terrible happening, focus on what you can control in that situation and make plans to do something to make it better. The things that you can't control, tell your amygdala that you need to let them go because you can't change them. Only focus on what you can control and make small steps towards making it better. You can definitely do that. Now, while you're pondering on those thoughts, I want to tell you a story. The first day the girl went to school, she was given a backpack. It was light and contained only what was essential. She was very proud of it, and she felt like she was growing up. Then when she became a student, she was given a bag for books. And when she started her first job, there was another bag for her laptop. Soon she realised that she was carrying a large amount of weight with her wherever she went. And as time went on, strangely she started to feel the burden even when she wasn't at work. She could not explain why she felt like she was carrying a load when there was nothing there to see. She went to the doctor, who gave her a thorough examination, but there were no signs of illness. That night, the woman had a dream. In that dream, she dragged a large carpet bag. When she opened it, she found that it was filled with her lifetime of memories and thoughts. Some were light and wispy, like air, flecked with golden lights. They floated in the carpet bag. But some were heavy, dark metallic grey iron bricks, and weighed down the carpet bag. She took out each brick until it formed a high wall around her. The wall was intimidating, shiny and claustrophobic, and she was determined to transform that wall. She looked down and noticed that her hands were creating a great deal of heat. She put them out to touch the wall, and somehow all the heavy metal bricks began to melt. And as they melted, they turned into wisps of air, flecked with gold. Soon there was nothing left in the room but the lightness of her memories swirling around her. When she awoke, the woman's hands were normal temperature as they had always been. But she felt a tremendous release of tension in her body. She felt a lightness in her body, which she hadn't felt since she first wore the backpack to school. Look now at what your life is like, without anxiety, without anger, without depression. You're controlling all of these emotions and making sure that they don't control you. So while they may still be there, you know what to do to keep them at bay. Your subconscious is taking control of your amygdala so that your amygdala can't tell you any more lies, and you can now look forward to a bright future with all that that entails. If you're lying down to sleep, you can turn over and just relax. If you need to get up and do some work or move around, just wake up in your own time, open your eyes if they're closed, and just get yourself settled back into the day and carry on as before. You can listen to this at any time to help you become relaxed and calm your nerves, calm all of the worries and the stresses. It's here for you all the time. That's it for today's session. Thank you for listening. Next month, I'm going to focus upon finding and working with a hypnotherapist. So I'll be giving you some advice and guidance to help you do that. And then the relaxation session afterwards is going to be to create an anchor that you can evoke whenever you're feeling stressed. See you next month.
Free audio post-production by alleviate.com.